they have a right. Then, if they're given...
No, they don't, Jim. But who instructed you this? Because if this is something that people in the British military are being instructed about, and it's categorically wrong, I'm 100% confident of that. We've got quite a big story on our hands, and I'll have to alert the news desk. So who told you that the successful applicants can come back to Britain?
James, I can't go into that. But...
Oh, you have to, Jim. Seriously. It's all right. I've signed the Official Secrets Act.
So have I. So
yeah. So who told you that, Jim? James? Who told you that nonsense? Or have you just humiliated yourself on national radio?
No, not at all. And
so who told you then?
Perhaps, James.
Who told you, Jim?
To some of your colleagues.
Possibly I do, Jim. But I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you at the moment. So who gave you this false information upon which you've based your entire support for a racist policy?
What is up, everybody? Harry here. This is James O'Brien on LBC with a caller named Jim, who supports the UK Rwanda asylum scheme. And it turns into a genuinely revealing moment about where a confident-sounding claims actually come from. Jim insists successful asylum applicants processed in Rwanda would be allowed back to Britain. O'Brien says flatly, that's wrong. Under the scheme, they stay in Rwanda. There are also real, checkable cost figures worth verifying properly, rather than just taking either side's number at face value. Let's get into it. Get subscribed if that's useful to you.
Jim's in Watford. Jim, what would you like to say?
Hello, James. Well, one potential way of looking at this is, yes, we've got immigration into this country. We've got to offer these people a very safe and secure way of seeking asylum and going through the natural process then of whether they're legitimate or not. But perhaps one element to look at here is purely the cost of it. And by all accounts, it's costing £5 million a day. So £5 million a day, 365 days in the year, that's just under £2 billion. So when you take the
Sorry, what's costing that?
So, by all accounts, the government is.
Well, what do you say by all accounts? I don't mean which accounts.
Well, the government actually says that immigration costs £5 million a day.
No, it doesn't. I mean, immigration is a net positive for the British economy. You must be talking about a specific.
No, looking after asylum seekers.
Well, that's nothing to do with immigration, is it? Immigration is everybody who wasn't born here but currently works here, and the financial contribution that they make to the country. So, if you want to, by all accounts, we'd have to do a calculation there, wouldn't we? And also, I'm very much in favour of letting asylum seekers work, as they are permitted to do in other countries, in which case the cost becomes zero overnight. So we've solved that problem.
I have no problem with that. If once they've actually proved who they are and what they are, because our borders aren't safe.
They can work while the application is being processed.
Well, I work in the military.
In other countries.
Well, I work in the military, and part of my role is to keep this country safe.
Yes.
So by doing that, when you're actually seeing people actually rolling up on your doorsteps without any paperwork, and there is a huge amount of military.
But they're not going to go through the application process, are they? Under your scheme, they're just going to disappear into the black economy, and that of course won't cost the country anything.
Not at all. But anybody that's arriving in this country without paperwork, that's seeking asylum, for instance, we need to put them through a process. Now, one way of looking at this, what success could be like, is to reduce the cost of that.
Well, you keep going on about this, but the cost of sending them to Rwanda, as opposed to letting them work while they're being processed here, is going to be immeasurably higher.
Well,
I mean, I'm sure you don't mean to, but you sound like someone who's desperately trying to come up with a theory that doesn't sound callous and racist to justify something that actually appeals to you on a more base level. But I'm sure you're not. No, absolutely. I'm categorically sure you're not. I'm just warning you that that's what you sound like.
It's just one way of looking at it.
But it isn't, though, is it? We've just established that this is a pointless argument, which is why it sounds a little bit like a fig leaf designed to disguise something uglier, because you can reduce the costs of asylum applications overnight by letting asylum applicants work and earn a crust and even pay perhaps some taxes. And the cost of sending them to Rwanda, if there are 5 people on the plane tonight, is going to be £100,000 per capita. So how does that save us money?
But that's assuming those people that are arriving in this country without any paperwork.
Well, you keep saying that they're
English,
arriving without any paperwork. So what do we do? This Iranian fellow, this Iranian policeman, presumably arrived with his Iranian passport, and they're trying to deport him. So again, it's one of those figures of speech that I keep hearing from people who seem to be desperately trying to sound, well, that's not beat about the bush, Jim. It's like a phrase that's used by people who are desperate to pretend they're not just racist. So what do we do with this Iranian police officer? He's got his passport with him. Why are you talking about people who haven't got any papers when he was supposed to be on the plane today?
Well, once you've established who and what they are, but you firstly need to establish who and what they are.
Well, that's what we do. That's the asylum application process.
Yes.
And he's still getting deported.
You're not being deported.
Mate, his ticket was cancelled yesterday. If it wasn't for those lefty lawyers, he'd be in Rwanda tonight.
They're not deporting them. What they were actually doing is moving them off country into a safe place while they actually go through their process of seeking asylum in this country.
Yes, and if it succeeds, no, Jim, you've misunderstood that as well. If the application succeeds, they stay in Rwanda, Jim.
No, they have. Well, that's not what my understanding. And my understanding is they have
with
a right.
respect, I don't care what your understanding is. I deal in the facts. If the application is successful, they stay in Rwanda. So your whole support for this scheme is based upon ignorance.
I wouldn't say that at all, James.
Well, what would you say? How would you describe thinking something is true that categorically isn't? What word do you prefer? Because I'm keen to be generous.
Well, you're telling me now something that is different to what I've been instructed about, which is the fact.
Well, who instructed you, Jim?
Well, process is part of my job, so.
Yeah, who instructed you that the people who successfully apply for asylum in Rwanda get flown straight back to Britain?
No, they have a right. Then, if they're given...
No, they don't, Jim. So, but who instructed you this? Because if this is something that people in the British military are being instructed about, and it's categorically wrong, I'm 100% confident of that. We've got quite a big story on our hands, and I'll have to alert the news desk. So who told you that the successful applicants can come back to Britain?
James, I can't go into that. But...
Oh, you have to, Jim. Seriously. It's all right. I've signed the Official Secrets Act.
So have I.
So who told you that, Jim?
James?
Who told you that nonsense? Or have you just humiliated yourself on national radio?
No, not at all. And
so who told you then?
Perhaps, James,
who told you, Jim?
To some of your colleagues.
Possibly I do, Jim, but I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you at the moment. So who gave you this false information upon which you've based your entire support for a racist policy?
It's not, James, it's not a racist policy.
Mate, you didn't know what the policy was until I told you 3 minutes ago. How can you even have an opinion on it?
Well, I've been told the policy is
very
different.
Who told you that?
My superiors.
Now you're lying.
I'm not lying, James.
Okay, so who told you that successful applications in Rwanda, just give me the sort of job description of what they do or the rank.
James, this is just coming down through paperwork in how
Can I see the paperwork?
No, you can't see the paperwork.
Because it doesn't exist, Jim. Nor can you. It's imaginary paperwork.
James, listen.
I have listened. That's the problem, Jim. If I hadn't, you might have got away with some of this. But here you are, on a line.
Not at all.
The lips
James,
are moving.
This is part of a conversation, James. You're saying one thing.
No. I'm telling you the facts, and you're now spluttering inanely.
I'm not spluttering inanely.
Oh, no, you are. Again, that's another fact.
Not at all.
So, final chance. Who gave you the duff information about this?
James, it's duff in your opinion, and your opinion only.
It's not an opinion, Jim. It's written down in law.
James, it's not written in law.
Okay, Jim. You going to tell me who told you?
No.
Have a great day, mate.
And you. Bye-bye.
Watch the exact question O'Brien keeps returning to, because it's the single most important moment in this call and is worth confirming he's simply correct under the actual design of the UK-Rwanda Asylum Partnership. Individuals whose asylum claims were processed and approved in Rwanda were to be granted status and remain in Rwanda, not flown back to the UK. That's not O'Brien's interpretation. It's how the scheme was structured in the actual agreement between the two governments. Jim's belief that successful applicants would return to Britain is a real, specific, checkable, factual error. not a difference of political opinion. And O'Brien's insistence on tracing where that belief came from is a legitimate response to someone stating something false with total confidence on national radio. The cost figures are worth being more precise about than either speaker manages in the call, because the actual numbers, once you check them, complicate both sides slightly. Jim's £5 million a day figure for asylum accommodation is roughly in the range of verified Home Office figures at various points. Official reporting put the hotel bill anywhere from about £4.7 million to £8 million a day, depending on the year and total caseload, so that specific number isn't invented. But the National Audit Office's actual breakdown of the Rwanda scheme found the UK was committed to paying up to roughly £150,874 per relocated individual just for processing and operational costs, on top of separate fixed payments to Rwanda's Economic Development Fund that, spread across the initial 300-person cohort, pushed the effective cost per person well over £1.5 million, and by some independent estimates, closer to £1.8 million. O'Brien's £100,000 per capita figure in the call actually understates just how expensive the scheme turned out to be relative to the documented costings, not the other way around. The comparison point worth adding, which neither speaker states with a specific figure, is that independent analysis put the cost of processing and housing an asylum seeker within the UK during the same period at around £53,000 per person, a fraction of even the lower Rwanda-related estimates. That's the actual core of O'Brien's argument, stated precisely. Whatever criticisms exist of the domestic system, the alternative scheme cost dramatically more per person by the government's own commissioned audit, which is worth knowing as a hard number rather than a rhetorical point either side simply asserts. Jim's proposed fallback position, that his understanding came down through paperwork from unnamed superiors, is worth noting as its own pattern separate from whether the underlying claim was true. Attributing a specific factual belief to an unnamed, unverifiable authority is a common way as confident misinformation gets defended once challenged. It sounds like a source without actually being a checkable one. And O'Brien's refusal to accept that as an answer, repeatedly asking for something concrete, mirrors the same reasonable standard worth applying to any claim attributed to an anonymous "someone told me," regardless of the topic or who's making it. It's also worth crediting O'Brien's earlier point about work rights as a genuinely coherent policy alternative, separate from the Rwanda dispute entirely, allowing asylum seekers to work while their claims are processed, which several other countries do, would directly reduce the cost burden he's describing, since income earned would offset accommodation costs and generate tax revenue rather than requiring full state support. That's a real specific policy mechanism, not just a rhetorical jab at Jim, and it's worth noting as the actual substantive alternative on the table in this exchange. If breakdowns like this are useful to you, get subscribed to Harry Unfiltered, and I'll keep checking the numbers as carefully as this deserves, one call at a time.